Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
He needs care and treatment.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May Remax Partners on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Is this a great country or what?
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May of Remax Partners, licensed realtor in Louisiana and Mississippi. Get to LSU and Ole Miss's coaches that are in Baton Rouge, but then went to Oxford, and they're going to coach in the playoff and then come back. But if they sign contract, we'll get to all that coming up in 15 minutes. For now, chat with our guy, Colin Jeter, former LSU tight end, now with the LSU Alumni Association, with us in studio. How are you, sir?
Doing good. Saints got a win this weekend.
Saints did get a win this weekend. We like that. It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, no,
it's good.
Yeah, it's good to get a little upset on the Bucs. That was a good little win.
They play great, and hopefully they can do that in the last four when they play some not so great teams. I mean, Carolina's okay. We know the Titans and Jets are not very good, so the opportunity's there.
Yeah. Now, do we want them to win, or do we want the draft pick?
I'll take either one. So if they don't play very well, we'll take a high draft pick. But really, you want Shuck to play well.
Yeah.
If Shuck plays well, you've got a decent chance to beat these bad teams. Like, Shuck could play well, and you could still lose to the Rams. But if Shuck plays good, I just don't think they're going to lose to the Jets. Like, that's stands to reason.
I have to agree. The Jets just can't figure it out. I don't know what it is about the Jets. It's never going to happen.
I'm laughing because there's a I don't even know why we're diving down this, but why not? The Nets, Mets, Jets fans in New York that are not Yankees, Knicks, and what am I missing there?
Giants.
The Giants there. There's just a lot of championships in my lifetime from those teams. Nets, Mets, Jets, just nothing. And that's just a lifetime of misery. A lot of passion, but a lot of misery.
Yeah, it's tough. Let's
talk about bowl games. LSU's going to the Texas Bowl. They're playing against Houston. And we heard from Frank Wilson today. Sounds like a pretty sizable chunk of LSU's roster is going to play in this game. You never know, which is why I can't get all jazzed up about bowl games, because sometimes they're just completely not competitive. But what's your memory of playing in bowl games in a bygone era that didn't have coaches getting hired and fired this early and didn't have necessarily transfer portal as the top story of December?
Yeah, it was a different time. You know, when I was there was kind of right when players started to opt out. So I feel like I kind of got the end of the golden era of college football. You know, guys still cared about bowl games, played all that. But now, I mean, it's just bizarre because you have a 12 teams go this playoff. And then beyond that, it kind of feels like, oh, let's just go play the bowl game to play it. You know, so I understand maybe the players' disinterest in it. I get the guys who are high draft picks who don't really want to risk injury. I mean, you think of guys like Jake Butt tore his ACL. He was a top prospect. There was the linebacker at Notre Dame tore his ACL.
Ford,
yeah, it's just there's some risk there. Obviously, as an athlete and competitor, you want to play, but I get that side of it. It's just different. And now it's weird to me that a lot of these schools that are 5 and 7 that wouldn't even have a shot, now they're getting calls to come play in a bowl game. They're turning them down. So it's just a completely different feel now.
Two Big 12 teams that are taking a $500,000 fine to not play in a bowl game.
That's unbelievable to me. But, you know, if they want to dish out $500,000 to somebody, I'm happy to take a call. So,
were all the bowl games you played in good, fun, or was there some that were better than others?
Yeah, I mean, so in 2014, we played Notre Dame in the Music City Bowl, where we got robbed. Brad Cragthorpe was in the end zone on a fake field goal, actually against Brian Kelly.
It was.
But 2015, 15 and 16, we played back-to-back NFL MVPs. 15, we played Mahomes and Texas Tech, and we beat the brakes off of them. And then 16, we played Lamar Jackson and Louisville, and also beat the brakes off of them.
Yes.
So 2 fun wins, kind of cool stories to tell now, but we still enjoyed them at the time.
I could tell the first play of the Texas Tech game. We knew at that time, like, it was Cliff Kingsbury Texas Tech team. They didn't play a lot of defense. They threw it around and tried to score a lot. And you all lined up in an eye in the first play and tossed it to Leonard. And he ran for like 19 yards. And I went, this is probably not going to be good for the Red Raiders.
Yeah, I got to say, of all the college games I played, and this is no dig to Texas Tech, that felt the most like a JV opponent more than anybody. We just pushed those guys around.
Yeah.
It was completely different. Big 12 ACC at the time, 2 different styles of play, and I think we showed it.
It says something about that Texas Tech roster is you had Cliff Kingsbury, who wasn't a rousing success as an NFL head coach, but like they were okay for a while. And like he went and had Jaden in the conference championship game. Like he's clearly a very good offensive coach. And he had Patrick Mahomes, and they lost like 4 or 5 games. Like that tells you the state of that roster.
Yeah.
When you've got that mind and that quarterback, and you can't win anything.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Very bizarre. I think Patrick played all right against us. He's still slunging around a little bit, but our defense back then, we were so good. It was a tough matchup for him.
That would have been Jamal Adams, Kendall Beckwith, Tre'Davious White, that crew.
Yeah, I mean, just
Devin White, maybe.
Yeah, I think Devin White might have been a freshman that year, but it was basically an NFL roster on defense. Pretty good guys on offense as well.
I mean, there's no doubt about that. And then the game against Lamar Jackson, like, he just didn't do anything, which was pretty wild because he'd won the Heisman.
Yeah, that game kind of solidified for me how good of a player Jamal Adams really was.
Yes.
Because if you watch the film after that game, he's basically spying Lamar from the safety position. And I'm talking covering him, the field's 53 and a third yards wide. He covered him from end to end. He was unbelievable. Man, Jamal Adams, he was a one-of-a-kind player for us.
I would take Jamal Adams over every safety I've watched play at LSU. There's some good ones. Laron Landry, very good. Obviously, Grant Delpit had an awesome career here at LSU. Brandon Taylor's my guy from the 2011 team. Eric Reed was a great player as well. Like, there's been great safeties for years at LSU. I think I would take Jamal Adams over any of them.
I agree.
I mean, that guy could really play. What's your impression been of the last 10 days of the Lane Kiffin era? Last time we spoke, we hadn't gotten to the signing period yet, hadn't made the announcement that Blake Baker was going to come back. Like, what's your take on all that?
I think a lot of success so far. I mean, we signed our big 5-star recruits, at least most of them seems like. We got to keep Blake Baker, which I think is a huge win for us. I was kind of thinking I was on the side, I thought he was going to take that Tulane job. But the fact that we kept him, obviously we're paying him to stay, which is great. But I think the combination of Lane's offense, Blake Baker's defense, I think we're going to be pretty competitive next year. So I'm excited to see what all we go on. I know it's kind of awkward that the Ole Miss staff is kind of going back to coach him up, but hey, maybe we poach some players in there. So you never know, man. I think we got a lot to be excited about as LSU Tiger fans here next year. I think it's going to be a fun year.
How do you assess the defense this year as a whole? I think I've had trouble with it because most weeks they were really good, and then you look at the second half against A&M, you look at the Vanderbilt game, you look at really against Ole Miss. They were out there too long against Ole Miss, but Ole Miss had a lot of yards. Like, how do you feel they played if you were to put a perspective on the entire year?
I think we finished top 5 in the conference, kind of high end, middle of the pack. I think there's a lot to grow on this year. Obviously, we've brought some players in that some of the guys might leave going into next year, but I think our defense was one unit that kept us in. Obviously, offensively, we struggled, and we put them in a lot of bad positions against teams that had mobile quarterbacks, explosive offenses, all that going on. But I think for the most part, the defense is what kind of we leaned on this year. I thought they played well enough to where if our offense was functional, I think we would have had a good year.
I don't know this, but I think this, and I'm reading a little bit into what Frank Wilson said in his press conference today, that Lane Kiffin is doing a lot now. Like the first week, you had to get that signing class done. And you've got to deal with your staff as well. But now you kind of hit a lull there. A lot of your offensive staff's going to Oxford to coach. The LSU team starts bowl practice on Thursday. You're not involved in that. So I think there's going to be a lot of self-evaluation about this current LSU roster. What do you think he'll say about watching that offense play?
I think we got to get better up front. I think that's where it starts. And I know it's a topic we've talked about all year, but I think truly you cannot run an offense if you don't have the best 5 up front, at least a competitive 5 in the conference. And I'm not digging those guys. I'm hoping we can go in and improve in the offseason and become a functional offensive line. But we just made too many mistakes, too many mental errors, not great technique. That was a gaping hole for us this year. I mean, we had linebackers running through. We had pressure all the time. Tackles didn't grade well. You have to get that shirt up to be able to do anything. Even if we can't pass the ball, at least we can run the ball a little bit. This year, we couldn't really do either. So you have to have that. Let's start up front. Let's get those guys solidified. Maybe we get some young guys that we can build on here in the next year or two. And then, of course, the weapons outside. The way the college game is now, you can have, B players out wide and still score points. So I think truly focusing on let's get the offensive line up front. Let's get the quarterback play where it needs to be. I think those are the 2 biggest pieces of the recipe to score points.
He's got an offensive line coach coming in, Coach Wolford, coming in from Kentucky, and I think those guys will probably watch the tape and determine, okay, is this X's and O's, is this technique, or is this these guys can't cut it? And then you got to decide how to put together an offensive line for next season, and that's going to be, I think, high on their list of things to do. And I'm just curious to see who from this LSU offensive line, because they have a lot of guys that were 4- and 5-star recruits that have not gone to the transfer portal as of now that still have eligibility left to play. And I'm just curious how they're going to handle that room. I think that quarterback, they're going to go get one. Running back, you've kind of got two here that are pretty damn good, and we'll see what happens with the running back at Ole Miss and Kejuan Lacey. Maybe he comes to Baton Rouge, maybe he doesn't. I don't know anything, but it stands to reason he might look, especially with the whole staff coming here if Kevin Smith comes here. But I'm curious to see what the LSU current offensive linemen do, how many of those guys jump in the portal. Because you got to imagine, let's just not even talk about offensive line. Whole roster. Lane Kiffin's going to look at some guys in the next 3 weeks and tap them on the shoulder and go, I think probably look elsewhere. And that's not a Lane Kiffin thing. That's literally every program in the country is going to have guys that go, probably need to look elsewhere. And I'm just curious to see how many times that happens with the LSU current offensive linemen.
I agree. It's honesty hour. It's one of those things. Look, LSU, we expect to be in the top of the country, offense, defense, special teams, and there's a reason we're not. So I think Lane's going to take this time to look into why we had all the struggles we had. Maybe it's scheme, maybe it's players, but regardless, whichever it is, he's going to make changes. I think for the better. Obviously, it's not maybe going to work out for everybody who was here last year, but it is what it is. We have to be better. We have to compete. Even if the guys didn't play well last year, like bring some competition in. Let's get that going, get those juices going, so maybe they can excel their game and get the Tigers where we need to be.
It's going to be interesting to see. The next 60 days are going to tell a ton about what LSU football looks like in 2026. I think there's a lot of confidence that as you move forward in the Lane Kiffin era, that ultimately it'll get where it's supposed to get. But if you're talking about just next year, they got to overhaul the roster like now. And so we'll see how that goes moving forward. Hoops on Saturday?
Hoops on Saturday, man. We got men's and women's Tigers playing in the Smoothie King Center down in New Orleans. We're going to be there. We're running a special promotion. We're actually going to be in the Hub Club. So food's included. It's a great venue to kind of hang out, talk to people, watch both games. Super excited about it. So check us out. Give us a call over at the Alumni Association. Look at our website, lsualumni.org. Come by. It's going to be a fun weekend. If you're into hoops, I think it's maybe probably a perfect early Christmas present. So it might be a good way to come in, watch both teams, see how the Tigers do.
The women score 100 every time they play. In fact, they have scored 100 in every game except one. The one they didn't score 100, they were at Duke, and they scored 93. So they'll take on Louisiana Tech, Coach Mulkey's alma mater. That game's at 5 o'clock over in the Smoothie King Center. And then after that, the men will play SMU. SMU's had a nice start to the season, and LSU's got to respond to a brutal outing on Sunday in Fort Worth. So should be a heck of an environment for basketball in the Smoothie King Center coming up on Sunday. You'll be there for both games?
Yeah, I'll be there for both. Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to that. We'll talk to Colin Jeter coming up next week. Enjoy the hoops this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Colin Jeter from the LSU Alumni Association. We'll come back. Let's talk about this staff situation with LSU and Ole Miss, these coaches that are going to Oxford, potentially coming back to LSU. Like, what does all that mean from both perspectives? I'll get into that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hitter's House at Marucci. Hitter's House at Marucci. Shop and save. You can swing into the holidays with the Hitter's House warehouse sale. Open through Friday at 6 p.m., so you've still got a few days to get on by. I tell you every day, if you go on the campus tour at Marucci, you get 20% off in the Hitter's House that same day. So get tickets to the campus tour at maruccisports.com/campus-tour. You want cleats? They got cleats and traders. You want softball bats? They got them. Baseball bats? They got them. New grips for your bat? They got them. New grips for your golf clubs? They've got them there as well. And if you're trying to test some things out, take some hacks in the indoor batting cages over at Marucci. You can rent them out per round or by time limit. You can become a member and get 24/7 access to those member cages as well. That membership comes with a 15% retail store discount. We're telling you about the Hitter's House. It's open through Friday over at Marucci, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's the Hitter's House at Marucci.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May Remax Partners. Looking for land to hunt or build? Call Daryl May Remax Partners.
Tuesday shows brought to you by Daryl May, Remax Partners, licensed realtor in Louisiana and Mississippi. Buying or selling a home? Call Daryl, 225-268-6915. Again, that's 225-268-6915. 20 years as a builder in Baton Rouge, so he knows what you should be looking for in your next buy. If you're looking to sell, Daryl is awesome with that as well. Knows the area well, knows the people to talk to, and certainly knows Baton Rouge as well as St. Francisville and the outer areas of the city where now he calls home. So give him a call or reach out at darylmayproperties.com. Daryl May of RE/MAX Partners brings you our Tuesday shows. Okay, so we all understand all the drama that went into Lane Kiffin to LSU. And I don't think anyone would have thought it was some sort of crime for Lane Kiffin to leave Ole Miss to become the coach at LSU. The crime for most people is that he did it in the middle of a playoff run. I understand. I understand why Ole Miss is upset. I understand. But as I talked about the next day, I think Lane Kiffin was making a 6-year decision instead of a 6-week decision. That's what I think he was doing. And the timing of it sucked, but that's the timing. LSU doesn't come open every year. You can't just wait until next year, hope you're not in the playoff, and then go to LSU. You can't just wait until next year and take Florida. Like, maybe one of the jobs opens up next year. Maybe Bama opens up next year. Maybe not. And at this point, LSU was open. And he had a chance to go, and he did it. And the timing sucked, and he knew the timing sucked. And he sat there, and he wanted to coach the college football playoff, and Ole Miss said absolutely not. And everybody on the Ole Miss side of things said that's absolutely ridiculous that you would try that. And I said, personally, like, can't have the LSU head coach roaming your halls to coach the college football playoff. You just can't. That's your rival. He represents the other team. He's on the clock for the other team. He's trying to beat your brains in the rest of the way. Like, thanks for all you've done, Lane, but you got to go. And I said that last Monday. And everyone at Ole Miss said the same thing. And then you realize, well, we got a playoff to play in. And a lot of our offensive staff works for LSU. Our head coach is an offensive guy. He's gone. Our offensive coordinator, Charlie Weiss Jr., is gone. Our wide receivers coach, George McDonald, is gone. Our tight ends coach, Joe Cox, is gone. Dane Stevens works with our quarterbacks. He's gone. Sawyer Jordan is an analyst, and he's gone. Like, we got a skeleton crew here. Like, we might have an offensive line coach. We got Joe Judge, but we got Kevin Smith. But we don't have a lot. And we'd really like to do well in the playoffs here. We're Ole Miss. We don't make the playoffs a lot. And so this hard and firm stance on Lane Kiffin did not apply to the assistants, and all of them now are being welcomed back to Oxford to try to make this thing go. Now, I understand that Lane Kiffin is the guy who made the decision to leave, and the others are just following a job. They need job security, and maybe Pete Golding would have them back, but at the point where Lane was about to get on the plane, like, Pete didn't have the job yet. Everything was happening really fast on that Sunday. So these guys said, well, we know we have a job there, and Lane's going to be there for a second, so we'll go ahead and go there where we know we get the job. So they're not persona non grata in Oxford. That's Lane Kiffin. So their decision to go to LSU is not quite the same, but that's what this is. Because this line about, well, Lane Kiffin's just going to be recruiting guys to LSU. He's going to be recruiting guys. Well, all these guys are going to be recruiting for LSU at a certain point in time. And the fact of the matter is that in this day and age, you don't have to be inside the building to recruit guys somewhere else. There's tampering constantly, whether that's LSU to Ole Miss to LSU, or vice versa. Or anywhere in the country. There's tampering everywhere. This decision that Lane Kiffin could not coach the Ole Miss team had nothing to do with recruiting, had nothing to do with tampering, had nothing to do with promoting LSU. It had everything to do with, we hate you, now get out. That's what this was. And that's okay. It's okay to hate the guy who bailed. But if your worry was an LSU rep being in the building, recruiting some of your players to go to a different roster, like allowing the entire LSU offensive coaching staff to be in your building for a month, pretty much counteracts that notion. all this is we hate Lane Kiffin. And look, I held a grudge against John Chavis. He left LSU for Texas A&M. It had nothing to do with a playoff run. But I don't like folks that jump to a rival for a lateral move. And the Ole Miss folks would suggest this was a lateral move. But you can't now stand on the leg of there's anything other than we just hate that you quit on us. And that's fine. Like, that's the crux of this. But there was some concern in Baton Rouge and perhaps some optimism in Oxford that these staffers had not signed a contract, were not bound to LSU, and could, in fact, now that things have smoothed in Oxford, Pete Golding could have them back on the offensive side of the football. And based on Matt Moscona's reporting at LouisianaSports.net and the developments of today where Ole Miss actually has hired an offensive coordinator, they went and hired East Carolina's offensive coordinator who had been co-offensive coordinator at Ole Miss, that essentially locks up the fact that you're not going to have Charlie Weiss come back. Like, Charlie Weiss is not going back to Ole Miss. They hired an offensive coordinator. He's going to be Lane Kiffin's offensive coordinator at LSU. And you get the sense that that offensive coordinator is going to want his guys, and that George McDonald and Joe Cox and Dane Stevens and Sawyer Jordan will be at LSU once this college football playoff run is over for Ole Miss. Matt is reported at LouisianaSports.net that a memorandum of understanding with non-compete language has been signed by these staffers that are going back to Ole Miss for the month, and that they are bound to LSU with a non-compete when they come back. Now, look, I'm not an attorney. I don't pretend to be an attorney. I was under the impression that an MOU was not binding, was not enforceable by law. I don't know anything about coercion in contracts either, and whether that circumstance holds up. Like, that's way above my pay grade. But I think while I looked at this with that memorandum of understanding and went, okay, I don't feel awesome about that, but whatever. Then when Ole Miss goes and hires an offensive coordinator, you realize that they're moving on in Oxford. These guys are moving on to LSU once this run is over. And for me, as an LSU guy, like, what do you think about your guys coaching Ole Miss in the playoff? I understand this. I understand the human aspect of this. These are not guys who have only been in Oxford for 10 months. These are guys that have spent multiple years recruiting that roster, cultivating relationships with that roster, battling with those guys day in and day out, in fall camp in the heat, out on the field, in Norman, Oklahoma, in Athens, Georgia, in Starkville, Mississippi, like trying to win games to get to 11-1, and they got a chance now to go try to compete and win. And that's why you get in the business. Part of it is to win games, win championships, and they got a chance to do it. That's why I thought Lane Kiffin really wanted to coach this team. Just not realistic. So I'm okay with it. I'm not pulling for him. Like, sorry. I'm not pulling. I don't want Tulane to win that game by 500. I don't think Tulane has any business being in the college football playoff. But I would like them to win this game coming up by 3 scores. They will not. They will get torched. But I'm pulling against Ole Miss, even with a bunch of LSU employees on the staff. I'd like them to lose and come to Baton Rouge. But I understand why they want to do it. And I understand some people go, well, if you're an LSU coach, how could you coach? Well, it's a job for these guys. They're not dyed in the wool like you are. They don't look at it that way. So for me, this just kind of illuminates the whole situation, that it's not that no one could ever be the LSU coach and come work at Ole Miss. It's that you hate Lane Kiffin, you don't welcome him back, but all these guys who followed him based on his decision-making, you are welcome back. Because we know we're Ole Miss. We may not get to this playoff. We may not get to this point anytime in the near future. So while we're here, we might as well try to capitalize on it with anybody that will come help us. And now these guys from LSU will come help them. So Charlie Weiss Jr., George McDonald, Joe Cox, Dane Stevens, Sawyer Johnson, all in Oxford right now getting ready for the playoff. They'll coach this team for a couple of weeks. If they win another game, they'll coach for 3 weeks. They win another game, they'll coach it for 4 weeks. But when that run is over in Oxford, they'll all be headed to Baton Rouge to be on Lane Kiffin's staff and assemble a roster. Start coaching them here at LSU. So you can read more about that at LouisianaSports.net. All right, there's a press release that just came through. Oh, all SEC teams. We'll talk to you about the LSU team, guys that made the all SEC teams. We'll do that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com. Tough to work on the golf game in the winter. Gets dark right when work's over. Rains, it's freezing cold sometimes. You obviously know the general issues with driving ranges around here where can't grow grass in the winter. There's not enough grass. You got scuffed up golf balls. Just the wind's blowing. It's just not not good for working on your golf game. Eliminate all that. Go to Swing Easy. Get one of your private bays. You can turn on the driving range function on the simulator. I'm telling you, these simulators are incredibly accurate. When I went and did that challenge a few weeks ago, it could tell, based on the spin rate of the golf ball, whether or not I was hitting a Pro V1 that was spinning back on that green, or I was hitting an old Scrixon that was bouncing and moving forward like a lump of coal. It's amazing. And you can work on your game. You can see your carry distance. You can see your ball speed, swing speed. You can see where your club impacts the ball. You can really work on your game outside the elements. It's a great thing at Swing Easy Golf Club. I talk about the fun you can have there, and you certainly can. But if you want to work on your golf game in the winter months, Swing Easy Golf Club is a great place to do that. They're on Seagan at Perkins. It's Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge, swingeasygcbr.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May Remax Partners. Looking for land to hunt or build? Call Daryl May Remax Partners.
All right, Tuesday show is brought to you by Daryl May, Remax Partners. I'm going to put you on the spot there, Jordan. LSU had 2 first-team All-Southeastern Conference selections this season. Would you care to guess who those 2 are?
Can I get one more hint? Does the side of the ball, or is that too much of a giveaway, the side of the ball?
Brother, if you think there's a first-team All-SEC player on that offense, I got real news for you.
Okay. First team, Halsey.
A.J. Halsey, first-team All-SEC.
Okay, Halsey and Perkins?
No Perkins.
Okay,
you're missing an obvious one.
Delane.
Mansour Delane and A.J. Halsey, 2 LSU defensive backs named to the first-team All-SEC by the SEC coaches. The league office announced on Tuesday. Let's see what you got. LSU led the SEC in pass efficiency defense, only team in the league to have more interceptions, 17, than touchdown passes allowed, 10. That wasn't even close. LSU's defense also paced the league in interceptions, passes defended, and passes broken up with 50. This is obviously not a segment I've prepped because this press release came across 8 minutes ago, so I'm just kind of doing this on the fly. But come on. What are we talking about here? Corey Raymond leaves for 5 minutes, and you field the worst pass defense you have ever had. You hire him back, and I know that Jake Olson deserves a lot of credit for A.J. Halsey, certainly, but you read into these statistics. It took him 2 years to get a Thorpe Award finalist, On3's National Defensive True Freshman of the Year in DJ Pickett, and you're setting all these SEC marks where you were the only team in the league that had more interceptions than touchdown passes allowed. You had the most interceptions in the league, most passes defended in the league, most passes broken up in the league. Like, come on, man. What are we talking about here? This is so obvious, so easy, and you've got a guy that is just a rock star at cornerbacks coach. And Jake Olson deserves a lot of credit as well. These 2 guys came in. Now, Delane was a third-team All-ACC player last year. Halsey had been wildly productive at both of his previous starts at New Mexico and at Houston. So awesome work for those guys to be first-team players. There, let's see. Second team. There was 1 second-teamer and 2 third-teamers. You mentioned Harold Perkins, who was a third-teamer. The second-teamer was on offense.
Ooh, okay.
See if you can get that.
Okay. Harlem Berry.
Not Harlem Berry.
Trade-as Green.
Trade-as Green is correct. Second team All-SEC. I am so excited to see what Lane Kiffin can do with Trade-as Green.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of pieces to the puzzle that Lane Kiffin has had. You look at the wide receivers that he had when he was in Tuscaloosa. You look at what Trey Harris was at Ole Miss last year when he was healthy, which was phenomenal. Kejuan Lacey had a monster year this year for the Rebels. He had Jackson Dart, a first-round quarterback. Like, we've seen him with some really good players in Oxford and Tuscaloosa. We have not seen him operate with a 6'7" SEC basketball player at tight end.
Yeah.
And I would like a ticket to that.
first things first, Trey has to make the layups. No pun intended with the basketball, but he's got to, the little slant routes, the easy catches. You got to make those. We've seen you. If it's two guys on him, he's coming down with it. But if he's wide open, slant across the middle, he's dropping that.
He's a basketball player.
Yes.
He catches jump balls. He catches rebounds.
Yes.
Not missiles. And that's just that he's just going to have to work on that. And this is a guy in Trey Green that has a big NFL future if he can improve. And you feel like the improvement is so attainable because he just started playing football. He talked to us last year in the spring about how he was a basketball player. He only played basketball. And then they took him out for football, and he went to one practice. And at one practice, Houston saw him and offered him a scholarship. Here, scholarship. Never played a game. Practice. And this was just 4 years ago. So he becomes a 5-star, number 1 tight end in the country, but he's still incredibly raw. And he's able to use those raw skills when you just throw him up jump balls. But when you're talking about the technical aspects of running routes and the technical aspects of catching the ball with your hands and catching the ball in traffic, it's just reps. He's got the athleticism to do it, but you feel like because he's not devoted this much time to it in his life, keep in mind, he played basketball this past year. He left football, lost 20 pounds, worked on hoops for 2.5 months. Those days are over. It's football all the time. And he's going to continue to put on weight. He's going to get better. And I just keep waiting for, I'm going to have to wait until Clemson game or maybe a little bit into the schedule to see Lane Kiffin scheme something up and us get guys running wide open down the field, which never happens. But it does for him. And Trey Green's going to be one of those guys, and he's going to be a difficult dude to deal with. So you got Trey Green on the second team. Also on the third team, Damian Ramos and Grant Chadwick from LSU, both special teamers, make the third team. I thought Ramos had a really nice year. He finishes it with the most points in the history of LSU football, the most field goals in the history of LSU football. Going to come up short on extra points, I'm afraid, but is a record-setting kicker at LSU. And then I thought Grant Chadwick did a good job, and he's only a sophomore, so 2 years left for Grant Chadwick. I think that's a guy you can work with as well. So I don't think any significant snubs there for LSU. Braylon Moore got hurt, and I don't think necessarily played at quite the level you're looking for there. Whit Weeks wasn't out on the field enough. DJ Pickett, I think, could have gotten some recognition, but I got to see who the other corners were and what they did. And DJ Pickett only allowed 1 touchdown all year, and it was the busted coverage that he had in Norman. So it wasn't even as if he got beat. He just was in the wrong spot. And so I thought he potentially could garner some of that attention. But that's probably it. You weren't going to get anybody at wide receiver. You weren't going to get anybody at running back. Certainly Nussmeier and Van Buren weren't going to qualify at quarterback. I think you kind of maxed out. Bernard Gooden got hurt. I don't know if he played at an all-conference level. So I think all the guys that LSU had on the field that could have gotten some recognition outside of DJ Pickett probably got it. You got Mansour Delane, first team. A.J. Halsey, first team. Trey Green, second team. Harold Perkins, third team. Damian Ramos, third team. And Grant Chadwick, third team. I was writing about Harold Perkins today, which I'll dovetail that into Harold Perkins here. Harold Perkins has announced, he didn't announce, the East-West Shrine Game announced that he will be playing in their game on January the 26th. And that essentially wraps up Harold Perkins' career. He is a redshirt junior. He does have another year of eligibility to come back if he chooses to, but it doesn't appear that's going to be the case for him. He's going to move on to the professional ranks, and you would expect that. He came back this year when he didn't have to, coming off the injury, wanted to prove that he was healthy. He did that. I know that Harold Perkins didn't have the season that many were suggesting that he would have from a sacks perspective. He never dominated games like he did in his freshman season, the game against Arkansas, to an extent, the game against Alabama that year where he spied Bryce Young and was so good. But he was far from a missing person this year. He played in every game. He finished with 56 total tackles. That was 6th on LSU's team. He led LSU in tackles for loss with 8. He led LSU in sacks with 4. He had 3 interceptions this season, 7 more hurries. He had an effective season this year. It was not dominant. It was not first-team All-American. He's not going to be a top 15 pick in the draft like we probably thought he might have been as a freshman. But to suggest that Harold Perkins was some sort of bust or had a bad season would be wrong. Like, that would be wrong. He had a good season for LSU this year and was among LSU's leaders in a number of categories, including as disruptive as anybody. You consider that LSU, from a sacks perspective, only had 27 this year, and he's the only player that had more than 2.5 sacks on the team. He had 4 of them this year. 8 TFLs, tied West Weeks for the most on the team, and the interceptions, that 3 were tied for the most on the team with A.J. Halsey. So he was impactful in a lot of different ways. He was 3rd on the team in hurries with 7 and had a fumble recovery and forced fumble. So I thought Harold Perkins had a good year this year. I think it's important for him to go to the East-West Shrine game and get in front of as many scouts as possible. It's going to come down to Harold Perkins for one team kind of falling in love with what they can do with him, because he never found a true role at LSU. What he's best at is rushing the passer on 3rd downs. That's what he's best at. But he can't play there on 1st down because he's too small. So you have to find space for him to play in. You have to find a way to use his skill set until you can get him down to the box to go rush the passer and kind of wreak havoc. And I thought LSU did a better job of that this year. It never looked like the 7.5 sack freshman year that he had. But I thought he did a good job for the majority of this year, playing a role at linebacker and being productive in a number of different ways. And for that, the SEC coaches honored him with 3rd team All-League honors, which I think is well-deserved for Harold Perkins Jr. So that's a look at LSU on the All-SEC team. Step aside, come back, close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Safety is a big deal in the bathroom, especially as folks age. There's someone in your life that is aging, potentially may need some help in the bathroom, whether that's non-slip floors, whether that's a shower with a bench in it, whether that's guardrails at slippery places, or a walk-in tub that's more convenient and safer. David Duvall and his team are happy to help you with that. They can come in, analyze just the current situation there, and get you caught up on what it takes to get it done. And if you're looking for financing options, they've got 0% up to 18 months if you qualify. It's One Bath and Closets. You can get that free consultation online at onebathandclosets.com. Onebathandclosets.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Daryl May Remax Partners. Looking for land to hunt or build? Call Daryl May Remax Partners.
Daryl May, Remax Partners, licensed realtor in Louisiana and Mississippi. You've always wanted to get that hunting property, but you don't really know where to start. Daryl May is where you start. He's happy to help you out with hunting land up in Point Capee, up in the Felicianas, or up into Woodville, Mississippi, anywhere in the state of Mississippi. Daryl May, happy to help you out with that. You give him a call, 225-268-6915, 225-268-6915. Check him out at darylmayproperties.com. Daryl May with Remax Partners bring you our Tuesday shows each and every week. Been a fast-moving show here on this Tuesday. Got some stories up at LouisianaSports.net right now about the Ole Miss assistants, about LSU's all-conference teams, Harold Perkins' participation in the East-West Shrine Bowl. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a full LSU baseball fall recap. I didn't think that last week was a very good week to do that when you hired a new football coach and it was National Signing Day and you had the Blake Baker drama. So I realized that you're now 10 days in the rearview mirror of fall baseball, and it's been a minute, but last week was just not a good time. So if you're looking for some LSU baseball, LSU baseball fix, I will have that on LouisianaSports.net tomorrow morning. One of the first things that we'll have up there on the site. So it's all free, and it'll be there tomorrow morning. One last order of business on this Tuesday, and that, of course, is take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer. 95 calories, 2.6 carbs. The flavor you're looking for from a cold beer. what you're looking for out of a light beer as well. If you're into a light beer, even this time of year, which I am, try Flight by Yuengling next time you're stopping by and picking up that 6-pack, picking up that 12-pack. It's the next generation of light beer.
Okay, let's start it off with the Evil Empire, a.k.a. the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah.
As they just signed the best closer on the market, inking a 3-year, $69 million deal with former Mets closer Edwin Diaz. Does the MLB need a salary cap? Take it or leave it?
I'll leave it. I wouldn't hate it if they got a salary cap.
Yeah.
I feel like the Cubs have an advantage over a lot of teams in the league, even though they don't use the advantage. But you would be foolish to look at what the Dodgers are doing and not have your eyebrows raised a little bit. Yeah. I'll say this. I complain about the Cubs ownership not spending money. The Cubs, in terms of ratio of revenues to salary, are the lowest in the baseball. When you compare the two, they have the highest revenue with the lowest salary relative to that.
That's crazy.
So it breaks my heart that happens. And I can't feel that way and then criticize the Dodgers. The Dodgers are doing what the rules allow them to do. But it's comical. Like, you're talking about a team that plays this Major League Baseball game like I played video games in the late 90s, where you just get all the best players and win the World Series every year. Like last year, they signed the top 2 closers on the market. This year, they're signing the top closer on the market. Roki Sasaki, number 1 Japanese posted player. They get him. Yamamoto, get him. Freddie Freeman, get him. Trade for Mookie Betts, get him. Like, these are MVPs, Cy Youngs, highest paid players in the sport. Oh, by the way, they got Ohtani too. It's hard to imagine beating them over the course of 7 games. Now, the Blue Jays had it. They were right there.
It was close.
But the Blue Jays are a top 5 payroll team in baseball as well. If you are the Royals, or you are the Rays, or you're the
Pirates.
Nationals, like you just feel like I got no shot. And I could make the case you don't, because they're insanely good.
Yeah, man. Speaking of, I guess, not too good, Derek Queen becomes the first. Hey, little Pelicans. Derek Queen becomes the first rookie center to record a 30-point triple-double last night. Is it time to move off power forward number 1? Take it or leave it. I ain't saying his name. Power forward number 1.
Take it.
I'll take it.
I don't know what you can get for Zion at this point.
Nothing. Bag of chips.
You get a 2nd-round pick in 2031.
Well, look, this is what you got to do. I said it in my Pelican School video the other day. I said, look, the Pelicans need to do, you got to get Zion on the court immediately and let him do a 360 dunk. If the second does a 360 dunk, shut him down, trade him. That's his stock is always at its peak once he does a 360 dunk. Yeah, just one little breakaway fast break, 360 dunk, that's it.
Are you feeling okay about the Queen trade now, considering it's an unprotected pick?
I've been okay with the move because you kind of can't do nothing about it. It is what it is, but also the Pelicans won 20 games last year and got the 7th pick. So it's a lottery at the end of the day. It ain't like, the NFL, we get bad here. So, look, Derek Queen, first rookie ever to do this. You got to give him some type of credit for that. Like, that's insane.
That's a good line. He's been good.
He's been good. Can't even buy a beer, and he's doing all this. So you just got to.
I'll buy you a beer, Derek. I got you covered.
Hey, look. Well, that's a problem. If Derek Queen has to get somebody to buy him a beer in New Orleans and not everybody just not like, oh, that's Derek Queen, let him through, that's an issue at hand. But anyway, let's wrap this up. So, Fernando Mendoza?
That's right.
Yeah, Fernando Mendoza, Jeremiah Love, Julian Sain, and Diego Pavia are the 4 finalists for the Heisman. Is Mendoza going to take it home on Saturday? Take it or leave it?
I will take it. He's a prohibitive favorite.
I'll take it.
I can listen to an argument for Diego Pavia, but with Mendoza, it's not like they lit it up against Ohio State, but he hits the fade route at the end there. Played through some big hits. They had a great season. Won at Eugene, beat Ohio State. Like, I'm not going to complain about it. It's not the most dynamic Heisman winner I've ever seen, but I'm okay with him getting the award. I think Pavia elevated his team to a level we probably didn't think so, but it's not like Mendoza was it's just that Mendoza's team did it last year, so I guess we had more experience with it.
And also, again, they're undefeated at Indiana.
Yeah.
And I'll get it. Vanderbilt's out the ashes, but this is Indiana we're talking about. It's a basketball school, flipping it on top of the head. So that's it for it. Take it or leave it.
Pretty salty. All right, if you missed any of the show today, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Search us at Hunt Palmer Show. If you're looking for your LSU content, Hunt on LSU. Looking for your Saints content, Hunt on Saints. Very easy. Wherever you find your podcast, as well as on YouTube. We talked about the Ole Miss coaches going back to Ole Miss and then coming back to LSU. Talked about Notre Dame's AD going nuts. Talked about LSU's all-conference players. Talked about the available players LSU will have in this bowl game coming up at the end of December, and why I think it should be a reasonably competitive football game and not a complete joke like some of these bowl games are. All that on today's fun and fast-moving show. Shout out Daryl May, RE/MAX Partners, for making our Tuesday shows possible. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review.